I Don't Want to Know Why the Caged Bird Sings is the fourth episode of the 19th season of The Simpsons, directed by Bob Anderson. And it's not a bad episode. There was one bit where I thought, how was that even possible? And then they basically answered it by holding up their hands and saying, we're not even going to try and explain this. So I'll discuss what I mean by that with a spoiler warning, but I like the fact that it kind of worked out that I'd have a problem with one thing and kind of just answered it. But this episode starts off with Lisa getting an award, and Homer, much to his credit, gets there like 2 hours early. Marge is late. And the reason Marge is late is because she's being held hostage at a bank robbery. And she agrees to visit the convict in prison. And she doesn't want to do that, but she doesn't know what to do because she doesn't like to break her promises, and it starts to eat away at her. And Dwight, the convict, who's voiced by the brilliant Steve Buscemi, has an interesting response to it. And if you want to read something into this, I'd say it's an interesting look at the complexities of humanity and how no one person is perfect or evil. No one person can always do the right thing. And especially when we see something towards the end that kind of suggested that. I'll talk again with a spoiler warning about that. Dwight as a character I felt was a little bit two-dimensional. He wasn't the most well-developed or the most interesting character. Well voice-acted, of course, and there were a couple of times when I thought, yeah, you're actually not a bad character, but generally I feel like I think we maybe needed more time with him in prison to get to know a little bit more about him, so that we could have a more emotional response to other things. So I feel like that wasn't great, but at the same time, I don't really have a problem with the pacing, so it's not like I feel like anything was done too slowly or that it took too long to get anywhere. There's nothing that I think should have been removed, so I don't know where that extra time would have come from. So I realise I'm contradicting myself, but just as something that I think could have been done better, I just haven't worked out how that could have been the case. Marge was really interesting because it's always nice to see when Marge has this inner turmoil where she wants to do the right thing, but she doesn't want to do the right thing, and her response to that's really fascinating. So it's not a bad episode. I think it's very thought-provoking, but there was one bit that annoyed me. And I guess spoiler from now, this is quite a big spoiler, but I have to explain it in order to, for what I'm going to say to make sense. So spoilers from now. My first thought was, how did Dwight get Marge's phone number? There's the bit where the phone rings and we see Dwight on the phone, and I thought, how is that possible? And then I think maybe 2 minutes later, not even, he's outside the prison with a newspaper that has Marge's address on it, and also the code to her burglar alarm, which was pointless because he didn't go in the house, but they basically said, yeah, we know he wouldn't have this information, we know he wouldn't know how to get to her, so we're just going to make that blatantly obvious. So I actually really appreciate that they did that they kind of went, yeah, people are going to question how he managed to have her phone number, so let's just go one step further and put her address in the local paper and just say, yeah, we can't even be bothered to try and find a way around this. But I kind of feel like that adds to the humour, the fact that they're self-aware. So I actually really appreciate that they did that. And if they're prepared to say, we know this is a plot hole, then I'm okay with that. If something's badly written and they don't acknowledge it, or they don't admit it, that's when I have a problem. But when they're just holding their hands up and saying, hey, this is a cartoon, let's have some fun, don't take it seriously, I don't mind it too much. The bit that I found to be really, I guess confusing emotionally is when Dwight risked his life to save not only Marge but Chief Wiggum with the boats. I mean, mostly it was Chief Wiggum he was saving because Chief Wiggum was bouncing around those Viking ships like a bouncy ball, and Dwight did something. I mean, I just didn't expect it, and I could see him doing that for Marge, but for a police officer, that's a big deal. And I thought it was a really good look, as I said, into how complex humans can be, and that no one person, well, very few people, are all good or all bad. And I thought it was a nice thing for them to do, and a nice way to almost finish the episode. So I actually really enjoyed it. I don't think it was perfect, but I think it was self-aware, which is always nice, and it was quite pleasant to watch. Definitely one that I enjoyed, and I'd be happy to watch it again.